Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Jones.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's that time of the day where I get to talk a little bit of sports with y'all, and that's my favorite part of the day. We got Will Vogel already in the chat saying, let's go. TreQuan Smith, let's hear it. This kid's been standing out. He's struggled to make the roster in a couple places. He's had a couple spot starts due to injury, but he's been the contested catch guy that the Lions have wanted so far. He's making catches from whatever quarterback is throwing to him, whether somebody's on his back or not. And with no propensity for dropping the ball in clutch situations, unlike a certain wide receiver who did it in a Super Bowl back in 2018 and an NFC championship game last year, maybe this is the break he needs to be able to show out. What do you guys think? Let me hear it. University of Central Florida grad. I think he can break out this year, not have phenomenal but solid number. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not saying he's going to be the guy, but he's someone that can do everything that we expected DPJ to be able to do this year. And to have another guy like that on the roster is not a bad thing. I mean, he has had 131 receptions, almost 1,800 yards, and 18 touchdowns. That's pretty solid. He has 1,764 and 18 touchdowns. That means every 100 yards he gets receptions, he gets a touchdown. That's pretty much what you want for a journeyman type of wide receiver. Been playing since 2017. Spent the last 5 years with the New Orleans Saints before going to the Broncos last season. He wasn't even targeted by Russell Wilson. Of course, neither was most of the guys on the Denver Broncos roster last year. I don't even want to say he's a solid deep threat. I just like his numbers. You know what I mean? It's just for every 100 yards he gets a touchdown that he makes receptions while he was with the New Orleans Saints. And let's face it, since Drew Brees left in 2017, have they really had a great quarterback? I mean, shit. 4 years ago, we were saying that Drew Brees' hair had the best comeback of the year. That being said, let's dive into the 16th overall QB and in the plethora of starting caliber quarterbacks. Nowhere does it say they are not a playoff winning quarterback or they can't win a Super Bowl. I kind of get what he's saying. The Trevor Sakima of the Tampa Bay Tribune, and that also works for PFF and did that quarterback ranking. Do I think 16th is a little low? Yes. Do I think it's wrong though? No. And I'll tell you why. They look at the whole body of work, the team around them, everything about what they do. They do not factor in wins and losses as big as some of the other quarterback rankings do. Good morning, Matt Henry. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. But Jared Goff as the 16th ranked quarterback is about right. He should be somewhere between 13th and 17th. He's not awful, but he's not great. He's not he's not a bad QB. Is he bad when things go wrong? Yes, we saw it. He had awful games both times versus Chicago. And you can say, "Oh, but he did this." That don't matter. It's what he does when he's pressured and put off platform. He's a middle of the pack quarterback. He's a great game manager. He can he is not a guy that, and I have said this ever since we got him. He's not a guy that's going to win you games, but he's not a guy that's going to lose you games as long as the team plays well around him. And that's what we've seen as that defense matured after doing the scheme change in 2022-23 season to 23-24 season, which was the second year in the same scheme with the better talent around him. The only thing that was bad was the passing defense, and it cost us. It cost us plenty of games. And also, while he was the second most accurate deep ball passer in the league, he was 29th in deep ball passing attempts. So, therefore, with fewer numbers and better completions because his wide receivers on those deep balls were able to track him down and make the catches when they were bad passes, a la Jamison Williams, that makes sense why he had the second best stats overall. It's not so much that he was a great deep ball passer, he made great decisions when passing the deep ball. So that lowers your expectations and how much that as far as big throw potential, he was middle of the pack at 3.4% big play potential on his passing. So when you look at people, and as much as I hate to say it, Jordan Love came on. Any shockers on the list? Not really. If you really look at it, he lumped Tua, Trevor Lawrence, and a few Kirk Cousins and a few others right there with Goff, and I kind of agree with them. They're all middle of the pack quarterbacks. Good morning, Dad. Just speaking on realistic things, and I'm not hating on Goff. Please, God, do not think I'm hating on Goff. Goff is a good to great game manager quarterback. And as long as the team around him is doing well, he'll do fantastic. When the team falls apart, he falls apart. Look at the Rams. 2018, they had the third best goal line because that's what the market gives. Had nothing to do with whether he deserved it or not. It's what the market is going to. Every year we've seen the numbers creeping up. If Daniel Jones and Kyler Murray are making 41 to $46 million, is not Goff better than him? That's all I got to say. Has Goff been a better quarterback than Daniel Jones and Kyler Murray? Yeah, they think I'm a negative Lions fan when I talk like this too, and I'm not. I still think I still think that right now, Matt Henry next year with all those other quarterbacks coming out, and I think the one that's going to get overpaid is Trevor Lawrence. I think he's very overrated and very overhyped. He's been overhyped ever since his freshman year at Clemson. He was overhyped coming out of high school because every year his play regressed at Clemson. And he's kind of having that same projection there in Jacksonville so far. And Will, if you tell me I'm wrong, I'll punch you in your butt chin when I see you. I'm going by pure statistics here, not the eyeball test. Yes, anybody can look good with a good O line and good weapons around them. But overall, Trevor Lawrence is way underachieved what anybody thought he would do. Yoli Cruz in here, our resident Packer fan. How you doing, Miss Yoli? Hope you're having a great day. Yep, I know you're right about Lawrence. I agree. His numbers have declined. How am I doing? I am doing fantastic, other than a slight tickle in the throat, but that's what I have cough drops for. It's allergy season. It fucks with me bad. I hate coughing, especially at my age, because I cough so hard I restrain my abdomen, so then it hurts. So I try to stop it before it happens. But other than that, I'm doing fan fucking tastic. I'm talking football. Congratulations. And thank you. And please be a teacher that actually educates our children and not one that just allows the system to regurgitate them. I don't know what subject you teach, but I'm begging any teacher I meet that on that subject. Well, it's good for you. Well, that's the type of stuff that builds character. I will never gripe at anybody who worked outside. Yeah, I know. It's been almost a year. Memorial Day has came and went. Friday is the 31st of May. And we're almost halfway through the year already, people. We're only 2.5 months away from football. Real football, not this UFL crap. How excited are you guys to watch the Hall of Fame game in the first week of August? I mean, I'm excited just to have football, period. I care less who's in it. Everybody says, "Why do you like preseason football?" I said, "Because you get to see every." I cannot wait till training camp opens in July. Yeah, no, the mandatory camps are coming up soon, and then it's training camp, right? You get the mandatory OTAs, which is still pajama Olympics. Will Vogel's, I can't wait to watch football every year. I know football and basketball are your two favorite sports, aren't they? My favorite days and then why. I knew know that because if I wake up, it's a great day, and I'll always feel that way. Right. I mean, that's what I love about it is the evaluation. Training camp means football's coming. But we got a mandatory OTAs coming up shortly. This is the last week of the voluntary OTAs. They get a week off, and then it's the mandatories, and then July you got training camp. Woo! Is anybody actually going to watch the hard knocks about the Jets? I'm not. I have no interest. I'm not. I have no interest to watch another Hard Knocks that features Aaron Rodgers and his ayahuasca retreats. So where do you rank your quarterback? Because I think any rookie quarterback. Do I know who's playing in the Hall of Fame game? They did announce it, but I have forgotten. But I'll look it up for you. It's Jets versus Browns, August 3rd. Oh, it's an AFC matchup. Yay! Oh no, it's Chicago Bears versus the Houston Texans. Sorry. Matt Henry, it used to be the draft was our Christmas because we always had a top 10 pick forever. You know how nice it was to celebrate not this past draft, but the last draft with that first pick that we had in the top 10 being from the Rams. Oh, it's Chicago and Houston. Yep. Texans, the, the Bears selected to play because they had Devin Hester and Steve McMichael. I do not count Julius Peppers for a Bear. I'm sorry, he spent most of his career between the Panthers and the Packers. Um, it was a blip on the radar in Chicago, and I won't count him as a Chicago Bear, even though that's why they have him there. That's just me. I'm not trying to be mean to Chicago Bears fans, but I know where he got his stuff at. The Texans have their first player being inducted in their franchise history in Andre Johnson. Well deserved. Andre Johnson was a beast of a wide receiver with a plethora of horrible quarterbacks. So put it in the chat. What did you guys have for your Memorial Day banquet dinner type of thing? What did you eat? I know that I made homemade pigs in a blanket. I used Grand's biscuits to wrap around cheddar smoked sausages. Yeah, Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan did go at it. Other players inducted include Dwight Freeney, Randy Gradisher, and Patrick Willis. Absolutely, Matt Henry Peppers to me as a Panther. He also went to North Carolina and played basketball. Absolutely. And we get stuck with Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salters for the announcing team. Oh, mute the TV and play it on your radio. It'll sound better. If there's two announcers I absolutely cannot stand in the NFL, it is Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, or as I like to call him, um, Joe F as an FTP, and Troy Fakeman, most overrated quarterback to win 3 Super Bowls, other than Terry Bradshaw. Go look at the regular season numbers. That's all I got to say. It's either that or they're going to give another team to St. Louis. And as much as I hate to say it, there's a city in Albuquerque that has the home offices of Amazon. Yeah, Luke Kuechly's gonna struggle to get in. But he might get in like year 3 or 4 of the voting, but I don't think he'll get in year 1. He should, based off of his solid numbers, but it was a short career. I think it's Salt Lake and Albuquerque, maybe Mexico City. I think they're gonna, or Toronto. They're gonna keep it this side of the world for now. I know Toronto's been begging for an NFL team, but St. Louis wants a team back. Kansas City, Kansas wants a team. Smoking Dad says my baseball is my favorite sport to play, but when it comes to watching sports, I only watch football and basketball because both of them translate very well to television. And ever since 4K TV and the advancements in frame by frame replay, Jacksonville just got a 20-year contract for their new stadium. It'll cost them 20 billion to move right now. Jacksonville won't be the one to move. And in softball, Dad, you did both well. We know it won't be the Cardinals, and we know it won't be the Rams, but man, St. Louis got such a bad rap with losing their team twice. Once to Arizona and then once back to LA. When again, I think the city that needs to lose their teams is LA, but they have a big contract with those teams and they can't go anywhere yet. Yeah, because Khan just did like a $3 billion investment with the city and a 20-year contract for the new stadium to be built that's part dome. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. So is Chicago going to pony up to put the retractable roof over Soldier Field, or are they moving to Arlington Heights? Because the owners did buy that property there in Arlington Heights and started working on clearing it. What else do you guys want to ask? I love answering questions. Washington, you say they have no interest in upgrading it, but if they can get the city to pony up half, they'll do it. They do have new ownership. And that might be why the city had no interest in upgrading it before is because of Dan Snyder. We all forgot how toxic that guy was. I think I watched that team play, didn't I, Dad? I did coach a women's double A blooper ball team that only won 2 games the year before, and when I coached them the very next year, they only lost 1 game all season. I do remember it. I think I was 6, maybe I was 5. I know we hadn't left the Beecher area yet. Buying into the JMO hype? Yes, I told you. Uh, I saw the progression of JMO last year. It's not hype is undone. Dan Campbell says he's the most improved player coming in this offseason. Aaron Glenn says his most improved player on defense is Jack Campbell. Washington new ownership appears to be doing things better than some. Yeah, you saw all the games. I thought that was the year you're talking about. I think I almost got us all into a fight for calling the other team cheaters for you on that game we lost. If I remember that correctly. So Wingo's best year was his sophomore campaign at LSU, where he played mostly DE. Should we expect to see him split roles at DT? If so, is it a and Damo said Carlton Davis is the best press man CB he's gone up against in practice. That's good for him. Uh, I think there is a good possibility we see him split between defensive end and defensive tackle. And the way Wingo's playing, and you hear nothing about Levi on Wuzariki, I think he's going to be one of the first players cut this offseason. Which means they've been lining JMO up at the one because I've heard we predominantly use Carlton Davis at the CB1 position there is undone. Not even. I doubt we could even get a half-eaten bag of Cheetos for him as in a seventh round pick. I think he has no trade value whatsoever. The guy has done nothing when on the field. He showed flashes one game his rookie year and has been a bump on the log ever since. If we get somebody to give us a sixth or seventh round pick, I would love it. But I think he's going to be cut. Which player from this past draft do you think entered the draft too early and should have waited a year before entering? JJ McCarthy. They're saying all I know is Broderick Martin is looking good, is all I've heard. I haven't heard anything negative. So we heard that all last year, and they just didn't play him. It was all on AG. He chose guys like Quentin Bohanna and the plethora of other sign on guys. Yeah, JJ McCarthy, I think, is the guy that probably could have benefited from another year the most out of everybody in the draft. Matt Henry, the talent is there for JMO. He played for Heartline prior to his transfer because he couldn't get on the field. It's definitely all on him now. Ricky Sakat, you're always good. No explanations for being late to a show that I have fun doing. I love it. But just to catch you up, TreQuan Smith is looking like the contested catch guy that we expect DPJ to be, which is kind of surprising. But when I look at his stats, he had 134 catches, 1,764 yards, and 18 touchdowns in his career at New Orleans. And he was on the field, but never targeted by Russell Wilson's. Shocker! You say he was disappointed. I say he was misused and it hindered his development last year as undone. I tried telling you this, and other people have tried telling you this. He actually came on and took over starting for Derek Barnes. So to say he was disappointing to you, I say he exceeded my expectations because he took over for a third year starter. I didn't expect at 18 for him to be a starter. And Ricky Scott says, "Oh shit, yeah, we could use one of those contested catch guys. Good shit." And it looks like he's more of a red zone guy if you think about it, because he has 18 touchdowns to 1,764 yards, which breaks down to about every 94 and a half yards he gets a touchdown. I just don't get why we dog somebody that was misused to start his career. We did the same thing with Jared Davis. You can say what you want. It is when Justin Jefferson wants out. Jordan Addison missed a couple games due to injuries last year. He was a UDFA that's bounced around the league for the past uh since 2017, Ricky Sakat. This is his 7th year. He'll be 29. So a year younger than Josh Reynolds. I'm okay with that. He spent 2017 to 2022. I don't think he stays. I think he plays this year, but I don't think he stays. Someone posted Goff's QBR with a clean pocket and under pressure. Really hope the O line stays healthy this year. That has been the bread and butter of Goff's career, is a good O line. And as long as we're ranked in the top 10, he'll have a good year. The 2 years that everybody dogs Jared Goff about, their O line was 18th and 29th in the league for those 2 seasons. Yet he didn't have a horrible passer rating or QBR. So he still had more touchdowns than turnovers. So I don't get the major Goff hate. I understand what he does well and what he doesn't do well. It will be, but it sounds like he wants out. But I know he's not going to give up those game checks for year 5 of his contract. You watch, he'll be on the field. And I don't even think it's about the money. I think it's about letting his QB walk. I think he wanted Kirk Cousins back. I know they couldn't afford him, and he doesn't get that part of the business side of it, and they can't afford him at that amount of money either. He's going to want between 35 and 40 million next year. You watch. Look, Brandon Ayuk already wants 30 million a year because or better because he thinks he deserves more than Amon Ra. I don't think it'll go well tagging him and forcing him to play again. That's just my opinion. I don't think he'll like that, and he may not sign the tender. Maybe there's only room for one JJ in Minnesota. I don't know if you guys watch Benchwarmer or Brand, but they were talking about the Justin Jefferson issue, and he goes, "Well, who's my QB?" And he goes, "Sam Darnold." He goes, "The guy who sees ghosts." Yes, T. Higgins does want more than I believe he's worth, and I think they should just let him walk next year and draft their next guy. That's what they need to do at Cincinnati. And they may want to draft their next quarterback in the first 3 rounds because I think Joe Burrow is a fragile little beehive. But he goes, and then you draft this guy, an overhyped guy because he won a national championship, about as athletic as Mac Jones. And he goes, Mac Jones. He goes, I move faster than Mac Jones. He sidesteps sideways. He goes, yeah, you are. You're much more athletic than he is. Oh, died. But he does have some funny takes, don't he, there, Brennan? Braylon, it's good to see you, sir. So I saw an interview with that Trevor Sikema, the guy that did the PFF rankings that put Goff into the plethora or the multitude or the multi-bag of starters. And he explained the guys that were there. And if you think there were some pretty good quarterbacks in there at the time. And he has Tua at 14th and Trevor Lawrence at 17th and Jared Goff at 16th. And, once he broke it down, I totally get it. It says we have around 31 million, but we haven't signed Arnold or Rakestraw yet. So until those are signed, that's not going to move, but that should drop at about 10 million and it'll say 21 million left. And if you think about it, if the Sutton contract is voided, that's 21 million gone. 12.5 or whatever it is plus the 17.5 or 9 or whatever it is in dead cap. That money's gone then. And so right now, that's why we're really not doing anything. We're not doing anything other than prove it deals right now. Because number one, Brad Holmes says he's happy with the D line room. So he's going to roll with it as is, like it or hate it. This is what we got, guys. Hmm. That's why we didn't do anything about wide receivers. That's why we didn't do anything about anything else. It's why our last big free agent splash signing was a $6 million right guard. Because we signed him a half hour before the arrest warrant was released. Damn, that hurts. In fact, I got to see if we've even signed Rakestraw or those guys. Yeah, they haven't signed him yet. It's still sitting as a big goose egg down there. I think Reader is a bigger piece to this puzzle than people realize. A healthy DJ Reader next to a Liam McNeil is going to open up so much more for both sides. Because if you remember, uh, in 2022-23 season, we signed Isaiah Buggs mid-season, and him being able to help collapse the pocket freed up everybody. And that's when Houston came on the scene at the same time, and we saw a difference in that D line. If Houston's even 80% of what he was his rookie year after that injury, and I'm not saying he will be, this defensive line is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But I think DJ Reader is the bigger reason for that. And if he plays like he did at Cincinnati, he may overtake Aleem as DT1. Hate it all you want, but there's a good possibility that could happen. And having him there is going to help Hutch. It's going to help Betts. It's going to help Davenport. It's going to help Aleem. It's going to help Broderick Martin. I think all of them are going to get paid more than Goff because that's the way the market's trending. I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to reset the market at wide receivers and start tagging them more than re-signing them in these second contracts, trying to work out deals that are more team conducive. Because I think 30 is the limit that they should go to. for a wide receiver. I think 50, 60 million tops is where it should go for quarterbacks because that's going to be 90 million of a $300 million salary room. So in other words, you're going to have almost a 30-year cap in two players. And I think that's ridiculous. They already did it with the defensive tackles. They already did it with the running backs. I think wide receivers and tight ends are the next ones to have it happen to. You're going to see more franchise tags and fifth-year options and stuff like that picked up. And then after they get everybody else back in check, they'll do it to the QBs too. It's going to happen because otherwise it's going to get out of control. All these next generational talent, and only one is the Wish version of Michael Vick. Yeah, I know. That the Watson deal, the Kyler Murray deal, and the Daniel Jones deal is why we are where we are today. Those those way overpaid. Thank you, Smoking Dad, for stopping in. And I think you're absolutely right because I think Hutch's production probably should go up. I think he should get 2 to 5 more sacks than he did last year. And anybody that thinks differently doesn't understand how much that interior D line means to the defensive edge. I mean, Chicago says they figured out Aiden Hutchinson, but at the time he had 2 sacks in both of those games that we played against him. So I don't get how they think they solved the riddle of Hutchinson, and they didn't solve the riddle of Sewell. You're right; those 3 deals were then and still are ridiculous. Right? I mean, Kyler Murray is making almost 50 million this year. He's making 2 million more than Pat Mahomes. What? Deshaun Watson makes 1 million more. They- what everybody thinks is a hip drop tackle, it's actually the wrap and roll. Read the letter of the rule. The hip drop tackle is pulling somebody back on top of you. That's not a penalty. There is a technique that is called the hip drop. And what everybody thinks the hip drop is, it's not the hip drop tackle. It's a wrap and roll tackle. They're talking about damn. They're talking about where you wrap a guy at the waist and you roll over their extremity. I know. Danny Dimes is right behind Pat Mahomes. He gets 45.1. But his average per year was 41 million. So I'm not as upset with the Danny Dimes thing as it was as an overpay as a mid quarterback. They did it ass backwards there in New York. They should have tagged Danny Dimes and re-signed Saquon Barkley. Instead, they tagged Barkley because the tag was so low and re-signed Danny Dimes and overpaid and got stuck with him for another year. It actually, yeah, it actually was only about 3 because he was looking for specifically the hip drop tackle, not wrap and rolls. It's 3. So say what you want. It's going to change. And we're going to see a lot of flags at first because even the refs aren't going to understand that rule. Right. The Giants at least can get out after this year. Watson has another year before. Have I heard anything about Houston and OTAs? No, because he's still recovering from his broken ankle. He's recovering from his broken ankle. Branch is recovering from some off-season lower extremity surgery he's had, but he's progressing well. He's going to be back for actual training camp, and that's the same with Houston. So I haven't heard anything about Houston. So until I see him playing, I heard he's about 85, 90%. If that's anything, he won't be a starter. Houston will never be a starter on this defense. He is a liability in run defense. He's a rotational pass rusher. Yep, Watson is after next season, and the Kyler deal, I think they got 2 more years left before they can move on from him. The steal of the draft was Christian Mahogany. Uh, Wingo was predicted as a 4th rounder, and he went in the 6th. It's not that big of a steal. Mahogany was a late 2nd, early 3rd rounder projection, and we got him in the 6th round because he had no versatility. The fight for the starting position at the opposite end is in between Betts and Davenport. And Davenport really isn't a 3 down back, but he's played 3 down position because he does the same thing James Houston does, and he's older and more prone to an injury. It's why I said don't be surprised if Betts wins the starting position because he's younger, he doesn't have an injury history, and he also plays the run just as well as the pass, which to me, that makes more sense to have him start and use Davenport and Houston in rotational pass rushing things, thus protecting Davenport from further injury by working too hard at his age. So it sounds, LOL, like you just answered me before I texted it. He was a monster during his injuries. That's what everybody doesn't understand. Do you realize he only played 16 games and had 22 sacks in the last 3 seasons? If we can make him a rotational pass rusher instead of a 3 down defensive end, it's going to protect him from his injuries. You're rotating him in and out and keeping his legs fresh. And the same with Houston. You could have Davenport be your 1st and 2nd down guy and then take your pick, Davenport or Houston, on 3rd downs. Yes, he did. He had 22 sacks in 16 games over the last 3 years. It is why I said I would have started Betts from day one. But Wingo is also a good defensive end too, so you have to throw him in that mix. Got to run, JB. Great chatting. Have fantastic rest of the day. You too, sir. It's getting almost that time where I got to talk sponsors and do my little speech before I do exit videos. It is impressive, but then again, he played like six six games here, 4 games there, 6 games here. Yeah, I think it is going to be Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold as CB1s and 2. I think the real fight for CB1 is between Carlton Davis and Amik Robinson. I just said Wingo has played edge, so there's a chance that he could be used in that Pascal Kaminsky, Levi can't stay on the field Orinsky fashion. So yeah, he possibly could play edge. I'm never gonna say no, he can't because it is what it is. Thank you, Will. But here's some interesting factoids about Goff and why he was ranked 16th. I'm gonna spell it all out for you because you know what? Second best at deep ball accuracy, but 29th in deep ball passes attempted. Second in passes between 10 to 15 yards, but was 12th in accuracy. 12th in attempts under 10 yards, but was first in accuracy. So if you put all that together, that tells me he's a game manager QB who's really smart on when he makes his attempts to make a deep pass. That plus the fact that Goff has an almost non-existent athletic ability and a propensity when under pressure to fumble the football. 3 fumbles versus the Pack, 3 fumbles versus the Bears. If you look at all of that, and plus the disparity in numbers between a clean pocket and a dirty pocket with Goff, that is why he's ranked 16th by PFF. It had less to do with about wins and losses because that's really not a QB stat. Now, granted, do I think he could have been as high as 14th, maybe 13th on that list? Yes. But it's more about the team around him than it is about Jared Goff, is what I'm trying to get at, people. Having a top 5 O line 2 out of the 3 years he's been here has extremely helped Jared Goff. Having a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is the steal of the draft in the 21st century right now. Anybody who says anything different doesn't understand football. He was the 16th wide receiver off the board in 2021. Right. Absolutely. I have said this. If you look, I am not calling Jared Goff a bad quarterback, but I am not going to call him a great quarterback because we've seen what happens when the team falls apart around him. We saw it with going from a Super Bowl team to a barely treading playoff team in LA where they blamed him. And I don't think the blame was all on him. It was more on the team around him than it was on him. The defense was always good, is why they made the playoffs. Whereas here, we made the playoffs despite having a mediocre defense 2 years in a row. I'm not saying we made the playoffs 2 years in a row, but we've had a mediocre defense and a winning record 2 years in a row. Why? Because the offensive line, the running game, and the wide receivers have been that good to pick up the play of Jared Goff. That coupled with there was about 50 plays last year where JMO was wide open from 20 to 25 yards downfield, and Goff chose to throw to check downs and underneath routes with people in double and triple coverage, also known as Amon-Ra St. Brown, James, Josh Reynolds, and Sam Laporta. Now, granted, they all had a good contested catch rate, thank God, because otherwise Jared Goff would probably have had double the picks if they didn't. If Josh Reynolds caught like he did in the NFC Championship game all year, we would have had triple the amount of interceptions we would have had. That's that's just plain out facts. And for the first 9 games, Josh Reynolds was amazing at being that clutch guy. Mr. First Down Touchdown. For 9 straight games, every catch he caught was either a first down or a touchdown. Oh, thank you, Corey Patterson. I think I pretty much summed him up. And and that's no hate. That's just exactly what he is. I don't believe in doing the mic drop because you know what? That's just patting yourself on the back. I'm as real of a Lions fan as anyone ever has been, and I try to give brass tacks, brass facts, and not blow smoke up anybody's butt. But it is time for me to start talking about our favorite sponsor. And no, this one doesn't even pay me. But it is FTP. Put it in the chat. What's it stand for, y'all? I see I lost some people watching when I started and everybody thinks I'm dogging Goff when I'm talking facts, and I really don't dog them. I never will. But put it in the chat. FTP. There we go. My weekend was fantastic, even though I don't feel facts are facts, keeping it real. But FTP is the number one thing we love to say around here. It's for the people, or what Braylon Dennis said. Since we're on Roku, I just won't say that. Don't forget, we also have my buddy, Voss Negron, the best window tinner in Saginaw for 2023, and is up for the same award this year in 2024. 409 Hamilton Street, 989-443-9240. Call him up to set your appointment to get your windows tinted or your car detailed today. And if you are in the Tri-City area, go to the Saginaw Chamber of Commerce and vote for him to get the award again. He can make your whip look clean and stylish, like this Maserati SUV. You see how it gleams in the sun and the windows are nice and dark to keep the swamp ass out of those cloth seats? And also this 300 C-Class. Last but not least, we got Brandon Service, my place of employment located at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road, 602 West Atherton Road, here in Flint, Michigan. If you need new tires, call to get your quote, 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself. If you're looking at getting a set of tires, make sure you mention that Smokin' Jeremy B sent you to get that $10 off that set, whether used or new. Used tires start at $40 a piece. And when you're able to work on a car that's worth more than most of the houses in the county, that's a $500,000 1963 Rolls-Royce Silver Phantom European Edition. That means we're good enough to work on your hoopty too. I am not a Goff hater, but I am not a Goff slappy. He is a good to great game manager. He's only as good as the team around him, and that's the way he will always be. And that's why, if you look at the way the contract was structured, it's a 2-year Super Bowl or bust. I don't sugarcoat anything. If he gets us to the Super Bowl, he'll be restructured. With all of the new old linemen, I wonder if any of them will play. Zietler is penciled in at starting right guard. Glasgow is at left guard. Decker and Sewell are the bookends, and Ragnow, as always, is the anchor at the center of the line. I think we're in good shape because I think Zietler at right guard is better than Glasgow was at right guard, and Glasgow was a good to great left guard before they moved him to right guard when he was a rookie. But thanks for watching, everybody. Have a blessed day. And don't forget, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place.
Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.